Pam is indicted on charges of accomplice to first-degree murder.
My name is Bill Spencer. I was one of the first reporters on the scene. Once Pamela started arrested, that just blows the lid off of everything. It's literally in one day, Pamela Sparkle became the grieving widow.
I don't care what anybody on the Xbox has to say about anything.
A heartless, soulless, dead-in-the-eyes woman who murdered her young husband. This was unbelievable.
1,000 subscribers today.
Soon,
thank you, everybody.
Hands the press and pictures that add fuel to the fire.
These photographs are pretty provocative. They are of Pam mostly kneeling on a bed in different poses and a cute little white bikini.
The bathing suit pictures were actually my bright idea. I convinced Pam to take pictures with me, and I took pictures of her.
After taking these photographs, Pam hands the roll of film to Billy Flynn to get it developed. She said, "Here, take what you want."
People really liked that whole storyline that she was a teacher who seduced a student and then had him kill her husband.
What started as local press, local newspaper, local radio, started to blossom into national media.
If this story were a made-for-TV movie, and it surely will be, you might not believe it.
The teacher allegedly gave lessons in love and death to 3 of her pupils.
Suddenly, every media outlet in the world is contacting all of us. They're all converging on the Derry Police Department trying to get answers.
With the tabloid phenomenon due for trial, a veteran prosecutor takes over the case.
My name is Paul Mangiano. I was the lead prosecutor in the case of the state of New Hampshire versus Pamela Smart.
Paul Mangiano had just arrived in the New Hampshire Attorney General's office in Concord, and I think straight in from Brooklyn, where he had worked in Kings County in the district attorney's office. We were like, well, he's probably seen his share of crime coming from New York.
I think there was some concern about the media attention, but coming from Brooklyn, where dealing with the press wasn't unusual, I wasn't uncomfortable with it.
There was no BS with Paul Mangiano. He would tell you the way it is. He had a lot of swagger. He was very dramatic looking. He had style. In the courtroom, I think he came across very powerful.
Under immense pressure to secure convictions, Mangiano turns his attention on the teenage suspects and develops a plan.
Months go by and these boys do not open up about what happened or what they did. Finally, the prosecutor, Mangiano, decides, let's charge them as adults, because now hanging over the boy's head isn't just a few years in juvie, it's life in prison without the possibility of parole.
After 4 months of hearings, Vance Lattamy, Patrick Rambo, and Billy Flynn are all certified as adults.
I think once we got past that hurdle, then the boys saw they could be going to jail for the rest of their lives, and that's when they approached us.
It seems the boys are finally ready to talk, and what they reveal changes everything.
You want to know the details about this guy?
They're crunchy, they're creamy, they're oh so dreamy, and they start with real chicken or fish. Cats go crazy for new Blue Bursts, available wherever you like cat treats.
After months behind bars, the 3 teenagers suspected of killing Greg Smart are finally ready to speak to authorities.
We had a basic story about what had happened at that point and how there was some planning involved. We needed to find direction from them. We needed their information to convict Pamela Smart, and she was the impetus for the entire thing.
Do you swear that the statement you're about to give will be the truth and whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Did you say your name? That's why I'm checking out. Please state your name. Now, do you know somebody named Pamela Smart? Yes.
How did you first meet Pamela? Bill introduced him to me.
Did she ever discuss her relationship with her husband to you? Yes.
How long did you know Bill? Was saying each other Smart?
I want to get into what happened on May 1st. Investigate the Gregory Smart was murdered. Was there any one specific person that would have the answers for you if you had any questions?
Pam know that you're going to do that now?
Yeah, she's done it. Can you tell me how you came across the gun? How you ended up getting the gun? this way.
You fired the gun, what happened?
Okay, I have no further questions. We'll go to your
Once they get what is believed to be the full story from these boys, Prosecutor Maggiato offers them a plea agreement if they will get on the stand and tell that story against Pam Smart to the jury.
There was a lot of talk about what would be an appropriate plea agreement with the boys, especially taking into account that Billy was the actual one who pulled the trigger. You also have to take into account that they're 15, 16 years old. So we came up with 40 years to life for Billy and Patrick, with the right to defer 12 years of that sentence upon good behavior.
January 28, 1991, Billy, Pete, and Vance all plead guilty to second-degree murder. Life in prison is off the table for these kids.
Again, I wasn't surprised because I knew that that was going to be the deal. The target was me. It was all about me. It wasn't about them. And it's still all about me. All these years later, it's always the Pam Smart case. It's not the Bill Flynn case.
When news of the deal breaks, attention shifts to Pam and her pending defense.
My name is Mark Sisti. I was Pam Smart's trial lawyer. I had handled over 100 homicide cases by the time I tried Pam Smart's case.
Mark Sisti is a criminal attorney. He's one of the best attorneys there is.
Mark Sisti is very dramatic and a lot of confidence. Nobody wants to be cross-examined by Mark Sisti. I didn't enjoy being cross-examined by him.
As Sisti digs into the case file, he begins to scrutinize the prosecution's narrative and the media's coverage of the case.
The perpetrators, those young men, knew what they did that night. They all made a decision together. They were referred to day in and day out as innocent little boys on TV. There's no question that the image that the media was portraying was that she was through sexual exploitation, manipulating young men to kill her husband. That's just a lot of bull. I think that the coverage was intense, it was overboard, and it was a nuisance. And we were worried about protecting the integrity of the jury.
One of the first motions the defense team put out was a change of venue for this trial. There was so much red-hot information, all negative to Pam Smart, in and around Derry, New Hampshire. They wanted the trial moved to a county upstate where the publicity had not been so intense.
There have been changes of venue in the state of New Hampshire. This is not some strange or unusual event.
But Judge Douglas Gray, who was sitting on this trial, said absolutely not. It's staying in Derry.
With the trial date looming, Judge Gray receives another petition. Local affiliate WMUR requests permission to broadcast the court proceedings. And in a decision that changes history, the judge agrees.
When the trial came up, the news director decided, we're going to cover this wall to wall. We're going to go full bore in this case.
It was the first live broadcast murder trial in America's history. The public could not wait to hear all the dirty little details, not only about the affair, but the murder plot itself. What did Pamela Smart allegedly tell these kids to do?
On March 4th, just 10 months after Greg Smart's murder, the trial begins.
The first day of the trial was unlike anything I'd ever seen. It was a complete zoo. In the courthouse, we heard this constant clicking, this
It's not a very big courtroom, but it is jam-packed. At the defendant's table, you have, of course, Pamela Smart and her two attorneys. She has been in lockup for about 7 months, and she looks like a wax mannequin.
It was incredibly bizarre. It felt like it was happening to somebody else. It wasn't really happening to me. There were cameras everywhere, and I just felt like a deer caught in the headlights in between it.
Then, Judge Douglas Gray gavels the court into order for the beginning of opening statements.
The prosecution's case was pretty simple at its core, that a teenager had been convinced by his older lover to kill her husband. However, there's no actual physical evidence proving that Pam Smart was the mastermind of this murder.
Oh shit!
It really is
Oh shit!
case.
Oh my god, that was crazy.
Who do you believe?
Prosecution co-counsel Diane Nicolosi delivers their opening argument.
The point of the opening is to tell a story, getting the jury ready to hear the evidence.
Alright guys, this is going to be the last match we're going to play though.
She didn't deny that the kids did this murder, but she painted the boys as sort of innocent and virginal. Nicolosi takes pains to point out the age difference between Billy Flynn and Pamela Smart, about 7 years older.
On its face, those facts are so explosive. Bill Flynn was barely in high school. She was this older woman who's in a position of authority at the school. It's hard not to take that and say, what could be the other side of this story?
Nicolosi then turns to the nature of Pam's relationship with her husband.
According to the prosecution, the Smart marriage was really not as happy as it seemed. Apparently, Pamela Smart has told Billy Flynn, I want to get out.
Divorces can be very messy. It was my belief that the appearance of being a 23-year-old who was having an affair with a 16-year-old student was not going to be very attractive to her as far as her reputation goes. It was easier in her mind to be the grieving spouse who everybody felt sorry for because her husband was killed.
The prosecution also tells the jury that this case isn't just about an illicit affair. It's also about Pam Smart wanting the life insurance money from her husband. Apparently, Greg Smart had 3 life insurance policies that equaled about $140,000.
As a 22-year-old person, most people don't have that kind of life insurance on your husband. That's going to perk people's ears up.
We were finally hearing what the prosecution had against Pamela Smart. It was eye-opening.
Mark Sisti then takes the floor for the defense's opening statement.
He's got to shift the narrative here and put the focus back on those people who've actually admitted that they committed this murder.
Sisti begins by challenging the accounts of the 3 teenage boys.
What really happened here is that we have a series of witnesses that not only conspired and acted together to slaughter a young human being, but now, ladies and gentlemen, they have conspired and plotted to save their lives.
It was a fabrication from beginning to end. Pam didn't shoot anybody, Pam didn't plan anything, and that 3 individuals executed somebody all by themselves with a gun that they had procured, and they did it in a cold, manipulated, terrible way.
He admits that she had an affair, and she's very remorseful over that. But murder, not in her character.
My name is Tom Nichols, and I'm a private investigator. I first became involved in this through Mark Sisti. Nobody ever had a chance to see what kind of boys these boys were. Their juvenile records were sealed. I heard that they have committed quite a few crimes, right? Quite a few robberies, assaults, burglaries.
The defense said these were already troubled kids who had done some troubling things and didn't need any help from her. They were already headed that way.
The defense finishes its opening statement. Then, after months of speculation, the prosecution finally reveals the sordid details behind Pam's plot to kill her husband.
Don't get any blood on the carpeting. I don't want my shag carpeting messed up. Who the hell comes up with that kind of a scenario?
Since 1926, Nationwide has been on your side. Working there in person during trying times.
Today, being on your side means staying home.
Nationwide office in the surrounding position. But we can still support you and the heroes who are with you.
We're giving refunds on auto insurance premiums.
Assisting customers with financial hardships.
And our foundation is contributing billions of dollars to charities helping with COVID-19 relief.
Keeping our promise to be on your side.
Prosecutors are attempting to establish Pam Smart's role in the planning of her husband's murder. And they call Vance J.R. Latimer to the stand.
J.R. Latimer was one of Billy Flynn's longtime friends. He was in on this murder plot. He did not go into the condo. He sat out in the getaway car and drove to and from both ways.
JR has some big, thick glasses, curly hair, kind of a hangdog look, and he kind of sat sort of hunched over the whole time, just sort of telling his story.
I'm going to direct your attention to May 1st, 1990. What were your plans for that day?
We planned to go up and kill the son.
On the day of the murder, these boys need a car to get over to the Smart condo. So J.R. Latomy has arranged with his grandmother to use her car, but Grandma forgot to drop off the car. So now they have a dilemma. What do? They call Pam Smart for a ride.
Inside Pam's car, Latomy says they refined the details of the plot to kill her husband.
There was some discussion of how she wanted it done, and Patrick Randall was suggesting using a knife because that would be quiet and nobody would hear it, and Pam was very concerned about the blood spill from a knife.
Pam, according to JR, was adamant, don't use a knife. I have white furniture and a knife would make too much blood. Pam says, use a gun. JR is asked about what Pam's demeanor was during this car ride, and he says she was kind of nervous and sort of hyper.
According to JR, Pam then asks how she should react when she discovers her husband's body.
Did ask whether she should scream, run house to house, or just run in and call the police, how she should react.
After the crime, some people noted that the way Pam was acting was not of a grieving spouse. Can you prepare to act when you see your spouse dead? I don't know.
JR explains that after Pam dropped them off, they picked up his grandmother's car and made their way to the Smart condo to execute the plan.
Why in the world would a teenager be involved in something like this? J.R. Latomy testified that, well, he just wanted to help out his friend Billy, who promised him he'd make $500. And the money is supposed to come from Greg Smart's life insurance policy.
I never had the impression that JR really thought they were going to go through with it. But that was just my take on it.
I think it was almost like he was too stupid to understand what was really going on. It was beyond him. I mean, he just struck me as a complete imbecile.
After Latomy's compelling testimony, defense attorney Mark Sisti begins to chip away at the teenager's version of events.
Whether or not they were in a car with Pam earlier is one thing. That may be true. Whether or not there was any such conversation, we would maintain that's not true. It's a wonderful story, and it helps them out. I would urge you to look at it as a conspiracy.
One of the first questions Mark Sisti asks J.R. Latomy is, who did you say good morning to this morning? Who did you say good night to last night? The answer was Billy Flynn, the guy in the next cell.
According to Sisti, they were all together and they had time to get their stories straight and discuss how they were going to testify and set Pam up for the whole thing.
It showed what we needed to show at that time, that these individuals were continuing the conspiracy right up and through the trial.
I don't know why those two teens were housed in the same cell. That makes zero sense to me. I think it's crazy.
But the witness pushes back on Sisti's line of questioning.
Latomy was careful to deny that the boys had gotten their stories together, that they were actually telling the truth. But
You need to stop
defense
coming
scored some
in and
major
out.
points.
Do you understand me?
The prosecution's most hotly anticipated witness approaches the bench.
As far as testimony goes, the day that Billy Flynn took the stand, that was going to be the biggest day of the trial. And everybody was waiting for that.
The prosecutor starts off sort of slowly with Billy Flynn and asks him to explain how did he meet Pam Smart. And Flynn explains that it's at this school program called Self-Esteem. He then talks about the orange juice commercial they made together and how that brought them closer.
He's a musician, likes rock music, which is exactly what Pamela Smart was. She loved rock music. She was a radio disc jockey in college.
He let it be known that he was very attracted to her the first time he met her. He probably made himself visit Pam in her offices and made himself hanging around, getting to know her better. He liked the attention he was getting.
According to Billy, everything changes in February of 1990 when Cecilia hands him a note from Pam.
It was about how she thought about him and she had feelings for him. And Billy Flynn was floored. He never expected that. To have this note passed to him was like a dream come true.
They spent more and more time together. And one day, as they were working on the orange juice commercial, he says Pam leaned over and said, "Aren't you ever going to kiss me?" And he admitted he kissed her, and it was the first time he said he had ever made out with a girl.
According to Billy, weeks later, Pam began discussing an infamous erotic film.
Pam asked me if I wanted to see 9.5 weeks. And she said because there was one scene where Kim Basinger dances for the work. She told me she was going to get this video with that.
With Greg out of town, Billy and Cecilia are invited to Pam's condo to watch the salacious film.
Billy tells the jury that after the movie, he went up to the master bedroom where Pam changes into a negligee in the bathroom and then comes out and does a seductive sort of strip tease for him. The session is paused at one point, he said, when he went downstairs to get ice cubes to reenact that famous scene in 9.5 weeks with the ice cubes.
Maggiato just little by little, didn't want to rush that detail and really breaking it down. So what did you do next? Well, you made love. You had sex. It's sexual intercourse. Yes.
Prosecutor Maggiato let that story just lie with the jury for a little bit. And then he asked Billy Flynn, were you a virgin? Was this your first time having sex? And Flynn said yes.
How much sexual experience does a 15-year-old boy have, and how much experience does he have with a 23-year-old woman? So I'm sure Billy was living a fantasy.
Now she's doing it on purpose. She's rolling over.
According to Bill Flynn, the day after they first had sex is when Pamela Smart brings up the idea that her husband needs to die. If he wants to be with her, then he has to help her get rid of Greg Smart. Flynn says he didn't quite know how to take this. Was she kidding or was she serious?
Pam had gone to Billy and said, "I need you to kill my husband, and if you love me, you'll do this for me."
When divorce was brought up, he says she absolutely nixed that idea because she would lose everything. The house, the furniture inside, maybe even her car. According to Flynn, Pam had this all figured out.
She was actively planning it because she told them she was going to leave the bulkhead open. She helped them get the car. She told them to make sure the dog was in the basement. So the dog
Amberly Rose, stop!
She made it occur.
Now you're acting crazy for nothing. Stop.
And I think Billy also realized that if he
Alright guys, I might be hearing her cry in the background. Like I said, she's just waking up acting crazy.
Then presses Flynn on the moments before he ended Greg Smart's life.
But after this match, guys, we're gonna be getting off for the day. Like I said, I appreciate all of y'all guys for becoming helping us achieve the 1,000 subscribers.
In the Pam Smart murder trial, admitted
yeah.
Billy Flynn.
Hopefully we can make this one a win as well.
Billy Flynn got into Pamela Smart and Greg Smart's condominium by going through an open latched door that had been left open for them by Pam. Went up into the condominium.
Go.
They started rifling through her drawers, pulled out jewelry,
Yeah, do that.
pulled out the stereo
Reload,
speakers,
reload,
messed
reload.
everything up, and then they waited for a very long time for Greg Smart to come home.
So when he came in, they grabbed him. So there was a scuffle between Billy Pete and Greg Smart. They wrestled with him a little bit, and finally they get him down on his knees in the hallway.
They said, tell us what happened next, and he took the jury through it, and it was hard for him to get it out.
Alright guys, that's going to be the end of this live stream today. And that was a horrible ending. Anyway, hopefully y'all enjoyed the streams that we did today. And that upload we did. Alright guys, it's your boy Killer was signing off. Thank you guys for joining in. Let's stay killing. Peace.